Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome back to Parsha Perspectives for today. Always great to be together and to study the Parsha and to tap into the Parsha's timely and timeless messages for us. I want to thank our generous Parsha series sponsors for the year. For every year, Becky and Avi Katz and family, in memory of David Grossman. Our learning should be Le'ila Nishmas, David ben Menachem Manish. And before we begin and dive into our Parsha, Parsha's Terumah, page 444 in the ArtScroll Stone Chumash, and we will keep coming back to this theme because it is so perfectly timed for our Parsha. But I want to talk to you about something incredibly exciting and ask for your help. Those who are here in person, Baruch Hashem, we have such a wonderful, wonderful chevra, wonderful crowd. You saw and you see when you pull in, you see the tractors and the piles of dirt, the construction and the building that's going on. Just like the Mishkan, we are building, we are expanding, we are doing more of what we do. Every year we have a global campaign, and every year we ask those who listen and read and watch and connect to our Torah, wherever you are in the world, to help us spread it, help us share it, help us learn, help us teach more and more and more. This year we're not doing the global campaign per se. We need everyone's help to finish expanding our Mikdash Ma'at, this incredible center of Jewish life and learning and living that in person and on the ground impacts thousands, but also from here spreads light around the world. And our expanded campus will have more classes, more programs, more podcasts, more light that we can influence the world. We need help. So there are incredible people in this room who've already contributed and who are helping us build. But what we're asking of the global community this year, and this year only, it's not a new standard. We're not asking you to hit this mark going forward every year, but for this year, we are trying to find 250 global ambassadors who will give or get $1,800. Give or get $1,800, and your name will be listed as sponsoring the media room at BRS, from which we will share and promote Torah, podcasts, people, personalities. Be part of building that out. If you give or you become an ambassador that raises from your friends and your neighbors and your customers and your clients $1,800, the BRS Rabbis are coming to New York, Yerushalayim, and here in South Florida to have a dinner, take you out for dinner to say thank you. All the global ambassadors in those three locations, if you give or get $1,800, we are coming to you to meet face-to-face and to say thank you. So we're going to dive into the Parsha, but you can go to brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global, and dig deeper. We normally ask people to give whatever you can. We're asking you to not only give, but to give and to get. I hear from people all the time, Rabbi, my friends, my cousins, my neighbors, my children, my machatanim, they love the class, they love the writings, they love what comes out of BRS. Good. Don't just tell me you love it, show me you love it. Show me the money. Not just you, but you and your friends. Be a global ambassador and help us. Help us, not just locally, but help us because locally, if we have this campus and our new BRS media room from which we are going to share and project so much more, your name will be listed on it. You'll be making a difference for it. And if you can't give or get $1,800, give or get whatever you can. We need your help, whatever you can. brsonline.org/global. Page 444, Parsha's Terumah. And if you think you're listening later and you just fast forwarded that to the beginning of the Parsha, I'm going to keep talking about it so you can't avoid it. Parsha's Terumah, page 444. Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemor. God spoke to Moshe, Daber al bnei Yisrael v'yichuli Terumah. Hashem says, speak to the Jewish people and take for me Terumah. Me'ez kol asher yidvenu libo, tikhu es Terumah si. From everyone who has a generous heart, take Terumah. This is the Parsha. I want to tell you that we timed it, that we sat down, and in our command center, we said, when should we have the campaign? This week, next week? Let's do a Parsha's Terumah. But like so many other things in life, we did not. It just so happens to be that when we put the dates on the calendar, Hashem chose that we would work on building our home, Dafka the Parshios, where he is building his. But I want to begin with the following question and the following insight, which is very much on my mind. Last week, Parshas Mishpatim, I was still finishing Shnai Mikra Ve'echad Targum. I was still finishing the weekly obligation to read the Parsha twice with commentary, even after last week's Parsha. Because Mishpatim, so much Rashi. Mishpatim is filled with so many intricate, detailed laws. There's so much Rashi, so nuanced, so complicated, so technical. It took a long time. So I finished Mishpatim when we'd already begun the week of Terumah. And we often finish a Parsha, and we have a little break until we take a look at the next Parsha. But when you look at them in succession, and you see, it doesn't really flow so smoothly. Turn back a page, 442. Last week at the end of the Parsha Mishpatim, we have this covenant, and there's a debate. Did it happen before Har Sinai? Did it happen after Har Sinai? When exactly was this experience, this spiritual moment coming down from the mountain? They ate and they drank and they entered this covenant, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, appeared. The glory of God appeared like a consuming fire on the mountaintop, and Moshe is on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. So the last we left off, God and the glory of God are appearing to the people, to Moshe. Moshe's on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Turn the page. All of a sudden, there's a campaign going on. All of a sudden, there's a solicitation going on. All of a sudden, what happened? What happened? Spiritual, top of the mountain, Moshe, glory of God, image of Hashem, spiritual, kumbaya, kumzitz, fabrengen, tish, Har Sinai, 40 days, 40 nights. Punkt. You turn a page, and all of a sudden, the rabbi doesn't stop talking about the campaign. Turn down a tab, click the link, sign up, give, get. What happened? What happened to our kumzitz? What happened to our kumbaya? Where'd the fabrengen and the tish go? Where'd the spiritual experience go? So I want to share with you an insight from someone who's become one of my rebbeim, Rav Weinfeld, Rav Chatzkel Weinfeld, who was here earlier this year back in Boca. He is phenomenal, Ramat Ashkol Yerushalayim. And he says the following. The Parsha begins, Daber b'nei Yisrael v'echuli truma. What is the connection between this Parsha and the previous week, which was about Mishpatim? Last week was a litany of laws. Last week, we went through so many details, civil law, tort law, criminal law, so many detailed laws, especially according to those who say that Tzivoy for the Mishkan was given after the Chet HaEgel. If you understand that our Parsha and the building of the tabernacle chronologically really only comes after the mistake and the sin of the golden calf, so why did the Torah put it in this order? Why did we go from last week's Mishpatim, litany of laws, into all of a sudden, V'yichuli Truma, there's an appeal which is taking place, a campaign which is taking place. Says Rav Weinfeld, one explanation could be that now, the building of the Mishkan, they're taking people's money. So first they needed to know the Mishpatim, which dealt with how to deal with people's money. And only afterward could it be V'yichuli Truma, that they could start dealing with other people's money. There's a campaign, there's an appeal. We're building a house for Hashem. We're transforming the world. We're redeeming the world. We are illuminating the darkness of the world. So what money, what resources, what contributions can you take when you're trying to build such a center for Hashem's presence and to connect with Him? You can't take tainted money, contaminated money. Someone shared with me this morning a picture. Apparently Publix, the great Publix, we're very indebted to our local Publix, but the great Publix is being sued for lots of money. Why? Because someone's claiming that Publix, their weights and scales, their measures are not, I'm looking at Publix, but that Publix didn't send it to me. But Publix, let's see, Publix alleged weighty deception, $5 million class action fight. Publix is accused of implementing a deceptive scheme, falsely claiming that foods sold by weights, such as meats and cheeses and so on, their scales are off. And there's a class action lawsuit, $5 million. I don't know if it's true or not true. I hope it's not true. I love Publix. Especially love Publix now that Winn-Dixie is closing. We love Publix even more. I hope it's not true. But let's say Publix came and said, Goldberg, you know, your community supports us so much. We want to give to the campaign. We want to give to the appeal. Would we take that money? Says Rav Weinfeld, before you could build the Mishkan of Hashem and you would solicit and you do an appeal for people's money, you had to know how to define what's kosher money, what's tainted money. What is pure money? What is contaminated money? What is money that comes honestly? And what is money that comes with integrity? And what is the money that comes in ways that are compromised and corrupt? And that's maybe why Mishpatim appears before Truma. Because first learn the laws of honesty in business. First learn the laws of what is pure and holy money. Now you could run an appeal and know the difference. And the Jewish people, we are warned and we are cautioned, no matter how much pressure you are under, no matter how much money you have to raise, do not sell your soul. Don't take from unholy sources. Don't take money that's earned in unholy, illegitimate ways. How do we know and how do we define? Mishpatim comes before Truma. As I zaked Rabbi Weinfeld, that is his first insight. Gemara, the beginning of Perek Lulav HaGazol, Pasuk says, Ani Hashem sonei gezel ba'olam. I am God. I hate dishonesty, stealing in the world. Therefore, the donation should not, God forbid, be a mitzvah ba'avera. They shouldn't be a positive deed that came out of something dishonest. So first we have to ensure the money is rightfully owned, Parshas Mishpatim, and only then Parshas Terumah. That's his first insight and explanation. But then Rav Weinfeld continues. Perhaps another explanation could be as follows. In the end of Mishpatim, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, said, Naaseh v'nishma. We think of Yisro as being the Sedra, the Parsha of Matan Torah, that has the story of Har Sinai, Mount Sinai. But the words Naaseh v'nishma aren't in Yisro. The words, we will hear and then we will do, where do those iconic words appear? Last week's Parsha, Mishpatim. But as the statement says, put your money where your mouth is. So the first tzivoy, the first commandment, after they say, Naaseh v'nishma, Hashem, you're amazing. Hashem, we love you. Hashem, we're so into you. Hashem, you're everywhere. Hashem, embrace your place. I am where I'm meant to be. Blah, blah, blah. All those things Goldberg talks about at the end. Hashem, you're amazing. Hashem says, I'm so amazing. Put your money where your mouth is. You have so much lip service. You talk such a big game. You have so much to say about wanting to be connected and wanting to be close to me and wanting to fulfill my will for this world. It's lovely you say all those things. Now show me. Now demonstrate. Now let me see. The biggest proof to if one is serious about a commitment of Naaseh v'nishma is if you're willing to pay. There are people who will give their kidney before they'll write a check, or Venmo, or wire, or whatever other mechanism of transferring funds. There are people for whom it is so hard, sadly, tragically, it is so hard to depart with their hard-earned money. Chazal, our rabbis, call money damim. Damim is the same word as blood because it takes blood, sweat, and tears. It takes work to earn that money. And if a person gave their blood, sweat, and tears, they don't want to part with that money. And there are many people who struggle. They don't understand the greatest geschmack, the biggest joy, the most fulfilling use of that money, the investment with the biggest return in this world and the next is when you give and when you share. They don't know that. So Hashem says, suggests Rabbi Weinfeld, we go from Mishpatim to Truma. Why? Because Mishpatim is Naaseh v'nishma. Ooh, kumbaya, kumzit, fabrengen, tish. Let's sing. It's amazing, Hashem. You're amazing. Thank you, Hashem. Hashem says, oh, thank me? Thank you, Hashem? Let's see. Let's see. Put your money where your mouth is. This connection is emphasized, as Rav Weinfeld, in the order of things in the Parsha Terumah itself. The reason is because the beginning of the Parsha says, the opening pasuk we just read, V'yichu li truma, take a donation, a gift. Me'ez kol asher yidvenu libo, anyone who has a generous heart, tikhu es trumasi. Now, the appeal happens without saying the purpose of the appeal. Zahav v'chesed v'nechoshes tcheles v'argaman. Give gold, give silver, give materials, give ingredients, give goods, give your money, give Bitcoin, give Trump special coin, give whatever coin, give whatever you want. Parsha lists everything you can give. Venmo, Zelle, wire, carrier pigeon, check, cash, everything. The Torah says, however you want, we'll take it. We'll find a way to take it. But this is the only appeal that ever happened without ever saying, what is the purpose of the appeal? It's only at the way end of these opening psukim. V'zos hatruma, give. Zahav v'chesed nechoshet. Tcheles v'argama v'salah shani. Oros elim adamim, oros t'chashim atzei shetim. Shem al nama or b'sam l'shem al ameshchol t'oros hasam. Abnei shom abnei miluim. The whole page 444, the entire page is listing all of the things that you can give without telling us why. For what? Towards what purpose? Why? It's only at the end, V'yasuli mikdash, v'shachanti b'sacham. Oh, we forgot to tell you. Why is it we'd like you to give? What's the purpose of the appeal? Because we're building a house for Hashem. We are making a Klal Yisrael shul where Jews of every background, Jews of every stripe, Jews of every education, Jews of every observance can feel comfortable, warm, welcome, and connect to Hashem. And through this place, we're going to radiate light that's going to transform the world. Oh yeah, we forgot to tell you that's why. First, we spent all this time asking you, please give, and we never mentioned why. And that's not a coincidence. Says Rav Weinfeld, at the time of the initial collection, it is unknown what they were giving all these goods for. That's the idea of Naaseh v'nishma, expressing the willingness to do before you understand and know the meaning behind the doing. By giving to the collection before knowing what for, Klal Yisrael was demonstrating and fulfilling Naaseh v'nishma. Imagine I make a meeting, I make an appointment with one of you, and I say, listen, I need help. I need a favor. We're working on something. And you say, you know what, Rabbi? Say no more. Naaseh v'nishma. I'm in. I brought my checkbook. Just tell me how many zeros. I'm in. I said, one second, I didn't even tell you what it was for. I didn't tell you what it's about. How do you know that you believe in it? How do you know you buy into it? How do you know you're one of the builders of it? Because that's Naaseh v'nishma. Naaseh. First I'll do, then nishma. You can tell me afterwards what it's about. So the evidence that Truma comes after Mishpatim to demonstrate, put your money where your mouth is, says Rav Weinfeld, is implicit in the beginning of Truma itself, Because the whole purpose of the appeal is not given until the appeal is done. Why? Nasa v'nishma. This is the meaning of Rashi on V'yichu li truma. Rashi quotes the Tanchuma. Li could have just said V'yichu truma, take a donation. Why does it say V'yichu li, take for me truma? Says Rashi, li lishmi. Meaning, it's not a donation for a particular designated purpose. Rather, it's li lishmi. Do you love me? Do you believe in me? Do you want to be close to me? Do you want to be connected with me? Hashem says, is it about the water fountain you're going to dedicate? Is it about the room? Is it about the mezuzah you're putting up? Is it about the name you're memorializing? Or li lishmi? Is it about the relationship with me? So the evidence and the demonstration of Nasa v'nishma is v'yichu li truma, even though v'asal li mikdash doesn't come till the very end. So after mishpatim comes truma. Why? Because put your money where your mouth is. The Rambam in the beginning of the Parsha says that the mikdash is a makom, a place for hashras hashchina. The Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan, is a place for divine dwelling. The notion is clearly seen in the pasuk. V'asali mikdash, make for me a sanctuary. V'shochanti b'socham, and I'll dwell in them. However, the Rambam in the beginning of Hilchos Beis HaBachir, the Rambam in the beginning of his laws of the temple says mitzvah aseh lasos bayis lashem. There's a positive commandment to build a house for God. Muchan lios makrivim ba'karbanos, so it will be ready to offer the sacrifices. Why did the Rambam abandon the reason the Torah gives and give us another reason? How does that fit into the reason the Torah gives? The Torah gives us a reason. Build for me a house, v'shachanti b'socham. I want to dwell among you. I want to be connected with you. I want to be available and accessible to you. And the Rambam says, yeah, that's nice. Forget that reason. Technically, where are you going to daven? Where are you going to offer karbanos? So the Beis HaMikdash is because you need to offer karbanos. Where are you going to have mincha? Where are you going to have marav? We're changing the clock. Everybody's sitting down. We're soon coming out with our new list of minyanim because we've been expanding them. People come and drive from all over because you need a minyan at any hour. It's our current campus and our future campus. You ready? I think there's a demographic here who will appreciate this. A new daily mincha marav plug. A new daily plug mincha marav. So you can hit the early bird special, get to bed early, daven mincha marav, plug, you're good to go. So the Rambam says, why are you building a shul? Where else are you going to get mincha marav? Where are you just going to chap it with a slushy? That's why. But why did the Rambam give that as the reason to offer karbanos? That's not the reason. The Torah said the reason is hashras hashchina, the divine presence. The divine presence. Says Rav Weinfeld, the answer is that of course the purpose of the Mishkan is to be a divine dwelling place. But only when a person gives sacrifices of himself does he make it that divine dwelling place. Chaver, did you hear? The Rambam is saying, the Rambam doesn't abandon the reason given by the Torah. The Rambam is elucidating the reason given by the Torah. The Torah says, why should you build the Beis HaMikdash? Because don't you want to be connected to Hashem? And Hashem says, you know the way you can be connected to me? Offer a korban. What are you willing to give? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do? You think you're going to lean back, sit back and recline, be a spectator? It's going to be handed to you, a relationship with me? Relationships take work. The more important the relationship, the more intimate the relationship, the more work it takes. A healthy, beautiful marriage is the greatest thing in the world. It takes work. It takes consciousness and mindfulness and work. It takes sacrifice and compromise. It takes putting someone else before yourself. Having children is the greatest thing in the world, and those who are waiting should be blessed with many healthy children. It takes work. You got to wake up in the middle of the night. You got to feed and diaper and clothe, and small kids, small problems, and big kids, big problems. It takes a lot of work, and there's nothing better in the world. Why? Because the most meaningful relationships in life, they take work, they take sacrifice, they take compromise, they take effort, and that's what the Rambam is saying. If you want a place for Hashras Hashchina, if you want a Mishkan of divine dwelling, you know what creates the feeling of access and connection with the divine? What are you willing to put in? What's your work? What sacrifice are you willing to make? What sacrifice are you willing to offer? It said that every home is a mikdash ma'at. The Gemara says, Ish ve'isha zachu. I just spoke at a Sheva Brachas last night. I should have used this. Ish ve'isha zachu shchina b'neihem. That if a man and a woman merit, if they have peace and harmony in their marriage, if they are in tune and aligned, if they respect and love and admire one another, if they sacrifice and compromise and put the other party first, then it's not just a wonderful marriage of happiness and bliss for this man and woman. They have transformed their house, their home, into a mikdash ma'at, into a miniature temple. Why? Because God now dwells among them. Only when ish ve'isha, when a man and a woman are willing to make sacrifices, that's what creates the space for Shekhinah. That's what the Rambam was telling us. If you want space for Shekhinah, take sacrifice. It takes work. It takes effort. So you say, Rabbi, I already give away my meiser. I've already allocated my giving for 2025 through 2055. So I'm so sorry. I can't contribute. You say, that's nice. That's what you had to give. That's what you were giving anyway. Now dig deep and make a sacrifice. Now go into your savings. Now make an investment that will give you the greatest return. Because if you want Shekhinah, if you want to feel connected to the divine, if you want that relationship, if you want to repair, redeem the world, if you want to be a source of that light, then you got to be willing to sacrifice. So the Rambam in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, the Rambam, when he codifies the laws of the Mishkan, is not abandoning the reason the Torah gave. He's elaborating. He's expanding on it. The Torah said the Mishkan is a place of divine presence. The Rambam says, how do you create and achieve divine presence? Sacrifice, korbanos. That's what it is all about. Rabbi Sachs, or go to Rabbi Soloveitchik first. Rabbi Soloveitchik in his Chumash, he points something out. Rav Yonasan ben Uziel clarifies this phrase, Me'ez kol asher yidvenu libo. The Torah asks for every person whose heart inspires him for generosity. And says Rav Yonasan ben Uziel, do not use force or methods of coercion for this collection. This, the appeal, the campaign for the building of the Mishkan, was not obligatory. There was no building fund that was put on everybody. Oh, you want to be a member? You want to live here? You're now bound by the new building fund. No. Voluntary. Whoever believes, whoever buys in, if you want to voluntarily be part of it, then we want you. Why? Wouldn't it be much more efficient? Wouldn't you achieve your goal much faster? Shouldn't everyone have to participate? Shouldn't it be 100% participation? Shouldn't it be mandatory? Obligatory? Although everyone, whether poor or rich, must give the half shekel, the contribution to the Mishkan was voluntary. We'll read in a couple weeks, both the Parsha Kisisa, and because we'll read it, of course, before Purim, Chodesh Adar is beginning, that every Jew had to give a half shekel. That's how the census was done. Every Jew gave half a shekel, the currency, and the calculation, the census was taken. So why, when it came to the half shekel, it didn't matter, wealthy or poor, everyone had to give. And yet, when it comes to the contribution to build the Mishkan, no. Only Asher Yidvenu Libo. Only those who want to give. Every meeting I have, every text I send, I use the expression with maximum gratitude and minimum pressure. If you want to give, Hashem will make this happen. If He decides this is going to advance His cause, will He make it happen through you? Will you be lucky enough that He makes it happen through you? Or will it happen through someone else? That's your choice. Maximum gratitude, minimum pressure. So why, when it came to the half shekel, did everyone have to give? And when it comes to being a BRS Global Ambassador, when it comes to helping us fulfill this dream, then it's voluntary, only those with a giving heart, says Rav Soloveitchik. The collection of money for the Mishkan is different from the collection of charity. The Rambam in his Moreh Nevuchim, Guide for the Perplexed, writes, part 3, Perak Nun Gimel, chapter 53, that charity is an act of justice. How do you say charity in Hebrew? Tzedakah. What's the root of the word tzedakah? Tzedek. What does the word tzedek mean? Right? Justice. Tzedek tirdof. But I don't understand. When I give tzedakah, that's not just. That's kindness. That's mercy. That's compassion. So it should be called chesed. The Rambam writes, why do we call taking part of what I worked hard for and giving it to you or to an institution, we call that tzedakah, tzedek? That's just? That's not just. What's just is that I get to keep what I have. Having to share with you is not just. It's kind. It's compassionate. It's a nice thing to do, but it's not just. So why is it called tzedakah? What we call tzedakah should be called chesed. So the Torah allows the taking of charity by force. Why? There's an explicit halacha in Baba Basra, Daf Ches, to the effect that it's permissible to remove objects from the home of a prosperous person who refuses to give charity, even on Friday just before sundown. One was allowed to force members of the community to give tzedakah. There's an obligation. It's a tax. What we think of as taxes, I don't want to make those listening from outside Florida feel bad, but our governor yesterday just announced that he's now trying to get rid of property tax in Florida. So we have no state income tax, and please God, we'll have no property tax, and we'll have even more traffic on our roads and highways when people want to take advantage of that. But what we call tax, The taxes that we live with today, the Torah also had a tax. What was the Torah's tax called? Tzedakah. And interestingly, it was prorated based on your income, because 10% of your after-tax income you were obligated to give to the community. We have a set tuition in our schools, but from the Torah perspective, there wouldn't be a set tuition for every family. Why should the family that makes $10 million a year pay the same tuition as the person who's getting by on $40,000 a year? It was prorated based on income. It's complicated and we don't do that today, but tzedakah was essentially a obligatory tax to contribute to communal institutions, to take care of the poor, the needy, to help the widow and the orphan, to ensure everyone could get a Jewish education. And the halacha was so strong that in fact, that portion of your income, now why are we entitled to take a portion of your income? We're entitled to not only encourage you, we're entitled to not only lecture you, we're entitled to not only obligate you, we are entitled to garner your wages to take what you should be giving to tzedakah. I wish we could do that today. Halavai. We would solve all the problems in the Jewish community if the Jewish people would actually tithe like some other religions. If we would actually tithe, 10% of after-tax income would go back to the Jewish community, we could solve all our problems. There are many Jewish billionaires and millionaires, and we can solve our problems if people actually tithe 10% of after-tax dollars. We can garner wages in order to do that. The Gemara in Baba Basra of Soloveitchik is quoting says, we can go into your house and take your artwork, your sculpture, the money you're hiding in the books or the cushions, the gold bars that you put in the safe. We can take that, even if you say, well, 1 second, I was going to buy my Shabbos food with that. No, we're taking it because you owe it. So that we're allowed to take. Why? Where do we come from taking that? Because the answer is that was never yours. We are all stewards of Hashem's money. We spoke about this last week when it came to the ani imach, the poor person with you. And Rashi said, see yourself as a poor person. And we asked, how could you see yourself as a poor person? So last week we spoke about, because if we all realize, I'm not entitled to anything I have. None of it is coming to me. Yes, I work hard, and yes, I can take pride in my accomplishments. But the senior partner in everything I do is the Almighty, and any success I have is only because He allows it, and I am the steward of His money. And He says, by the way, even though I'm the senior partner, and without me you would have nothing, you could keep 90%. Such a partner we would kill for. Could you imagine we had a partner who had all the connections, all the access, all the brains, did all the work, and says to us, keep 90%. That's God. He says, you can't have any of it without me, but I'll tell you what, you keep 90%. 10% that really is mine that you're holding on to, give it to my other children. So now the community can come and say, that other 10%, it's never yours. You're just a steward. You're holding on to it for him. Now you have to give it to the other children. Why did the Torah eliminate the construction of the Mishkan from the class of activity which does not require consent on the part of the giver? So again, the Rav is asking, why is building the Mishkan? No. That's only a Sheyid Veneli Bo. Maximum gratitude, minimum pressure. When it comes to tzedakah, tomchei Shabbos, tuition assistance, when it comes to that, I could go into your house. We don't do this today, so don't practice it halacha l'maisa. But theoretically, I could garner your wages. I could go into your house and take what you should be giving, because that never really belonged to you to begin with. That we say is obligatory, mandatory, to the extent I can take it. And yet, when it comes to building a house for Hashem, the Mishkan, no. Only kol hashayid veneli bo. Only if you're generous. Only if you have a good and a giving and a kind heart. Why the difference? Says Rav Soloveitchik. Listen carefully. Man is basically a homeless being. No matter how large and opulent his home, he is exposed. He is subject to the vicissitudes of life, subject to nature, which at best is indifferent to man, at worst is hostile, and subject to an inscrutable future. There's only one home where man gains security. God, Hashem, is called me'ona, an abode. The only home where man can find security is in the Ribbono Shel Olam. Hashem told Moshe not to collect the money for the Mishkan by using force, because the Mishkan was to be built only if the nation felt the need to build a home for Hashem on their own. For Hashem to descend from infinity into a Mishkan built by man is kiviyachol, a sacrificial act on his part. This act of self-contraction is a sacrifice he was willing to make, but only if the people themselves wanted a Mishkan and were willing to contribute to build it. Because would you want to stand under a chuppah with someone who a gun was put to their head because they were told you have to marry you? I wouldn't want to. Who would want to be in a marriage or relationship where the other party was only there because they had to be? So Hashem says, when it comes to the Mishkan, which is our home, the place of our intimate rendezvous, the place of our close connection, I only want you there if you want to be there. I only want you to be a partner and a builder if you believe in the mission and purpose and cause. And if you don't want, I'm not obligating you. Now, when it comes to feeding the poor person, I don't care whether you want to or don't want to. I'm going to take what you should be giving because we all need your help. But when it comes to the Mishkan, which is the house of intimacy with us and Hashem, the house of rendezvous with us and Hashem, that's the chuppah, that's the place of love, that's the home, that's the bedroom that we have with Hashem. Only be there if you want to be there. Only give if you want to give. Only asher yidvenu libo. It's a brilliant insight of the Rav. That distinction, that difference between tzedakah, which is tzedek, it's just, you have to give. We can garner your wages, we can take it from you. And building a mishkan only if you want. Because tzedakah, the needs of the community, I don't care whether you want or not, you must give. We're obligating you. But when it comes to this house, I'm not forcing you to stand under the chuppah. I'm not making you love me. Only love me, only be under the chuppah, only build a home with me, only be in this bedroom with me if you want to be here. Now, what did Hashem do to be there? Says Rav Soloveitchik, Tzimtzum, the Kabbalists, maybe we'll come back to this. We'll see if we have time. But maybe in honor of our campaign, the Parsha shir should be 2 hours for the next couple of weeks. Okay, from that reaction, we'll keep it at 1. So, Rav Soloveitchik says, what did Hashem do for the Mishkan? What do you mean, what did he do? He's infinite and omnipotent. And he contracted himself. He practiced what the mystics, the Kabbalists call tzimtzum. He contracted himself to fit in this world, to be available and accessible in this world, to be relatable, so to say, in this world. He contracted and constricted himself so that we could have access to him in this world. That's what he did. That's what he gave up. That's the sacrifice he made. What are we willing to do to be there? So it has to be asher yidvenu libo. It has to be something that comes from a generous heart. I told you I got the new Rabbi Sachs Koren Chumash. There's a Koren store here in Boca, by the way. I don't get any piece of the action. I don't get anything for free, but I want to promote it because it's beautiful to have a farm store. It's a beautiful Koren bookstore. Go there, window shop. You'll find something that you'll read and will change your life, including this new beautiful Chumash. It's at the fountains. At the fountains, there's a new beautiful Koren's farm store. This new beautiful Chumash, where they put out a beautiful Chumash with the commentary collected from Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Zichron Levrach, on the bottom. And he makes the following point. I'm only going to take one part of this essay or comment he has because I found it fascinating. The early chapters of Shmos are all about the politics of freedom. We read about Yetzias Mitzrayim. We went from slavery, we were liberated, we were emancipated. But the last section, beginning here until the end of the book, a third of the book of Shmos, is about the apparently minor and seemingly irrelevant episode about the construction of the Mishkan. That's ancient history. That happened in the desert. That's over. Why are we so obsessed? Why do we have so much focus? Why is so much a third of this book about something that happened once and is done and is now relegated to history? And listen to what Rabbi Sachs says. He says, putting all this together, we arrive at the boldest of all of the Exodus's political statements. A nation, at least the kind of nation the Jewish people are called on to become, is created through the act of creation itself. Not all the miracles of Yetzias Mitzrayim combined, not even the revelation of Sinai itself, turned the Jewish people into a nation. In commanding Moshe to get the people to make the tabernacle, Hashem is in effect saying, to turn a group of individuals into a covenantal nation, they must build something together. I repeat, to turn a group of individuals. We were taken and liberated out of Egypt. We were scattered individuals who happened to all be slaves together, but individuals. How do you turn a group of individuals into a covenantal nation? They must build something together. Freedom cannot be conferred by an outside force, not even by God himself. It can be achieved only by collective collaborative effort on the part of the people. Hence the construction of the tabernacle. A people is made by making. Rabbi Sachs was amazing. What a tragedy, what a loss. We miss him so much. Listen to his language. To become the nation the Jewish people are called on to become is created through the act of creation itself. A people is made by making. A nation is built by building. What they build was a home for the divine presence. The Mishkan, placed at the center of the camp with the tribes arrayed around it, symbolized the public square, the common good, the voice that had been summoned them to collective freedom. It was a visible emblem of community. Within the Mishkan was the Aron. Within the Aron were the tablets. and on the tablets were written the details of the covenant. It was the home of their constitution of liberty. What was true for the Jewish people holds true in every generation. Society like the Mishkan is the home we must build together. Our campaign, BRS, between the B and the R, you can fill in the letters, is builders. Builders. We're trying to expand and double this campus that you come so often for. Shiurim and classes and Beis Medrash and Midrasha and Kol HaBoker and afternoon Kolol and concerts and speakers and Israel advocacy and army, because we're trying to build. Not a campus, we're trying to build Klal Yisrael, build Torah, build Chesed, build our future, build outreach, build youth, build teens, build continuity. We're trying to build, and that's how you create community. To turn a group of individuals into a communal nation, they must build something together. And that's why a third of the book is about how we built together, what we gave, what we did, what we built, because that's what made us a people. Getting out of Egypt, that liberated us. That gave us some freedom. That didn't make us a people. Even standing at Har Sinai, being bound by Torah, that was top down. That was Hashem giving it to us. What turned us into a covenantal community, into a nation, into a people? We became a people when we built together. That's what made all the difference. So that's the beginning of the Parsha. The Yechuli Truma, the contribution. What's the purpose? V'asuli Mikdash. Where is the greatest Mikdash? It is in us. V'shachanti b'socham. As we share every year, we go from the singular to the plural because the ultimate place of divine dwelling is not in any bricks and mortar. It's not in any square footage. It's not in any decorations or decor. It's not in any building. Where is the ultimate place of divine presence? V'shachanti b'socham. It's in us. It's in every one of you. It's in every Jew in Boca and South Florida and around the world that we're trying to tap into, to awaken, to ignite that spark, that spirit, the godliness in them. That's our mission. That's our message. That's what we're building. V'shachanti b'socham. Inherent and inside every Jew is a spark of Hashem, is a godliness, is eternity, is immortality. B'socham, it's in us. But how do we access it? How do we tap into it? How do we nurture it? How do we fan the flame of it? We need a dwelling. We need a mishkan. We need a mikdash ma'at. We need a campus of life and living, cradle to grave, that every age, every background, that everyone feels connected, everyone feels warm and welcome, everyone can call it home, so that v'shachanti b'socham, it's not the ends, it's all a means. The ends is not to be on a campus, because that's Hashem's dwelling. It's to remind that Hashem is dwelling ultimately really is where? In each and every one of us. Perach Hey Pasuk Yud. Turn the page. The first of the Kalim now, tabernacle. Interestingly, we're out of order. Before we get into the tabernacle, before we talk about the new campus, let's talk about what will the furniture look like. Is it pews? Is it benches? Will there be tables, Rabbi? Will they be the blue chairs or these comfortable chairs? It's kind of out of order. This is a question we'll deal with another time. But why do we begin Truma? Instead of talking about the building, we talk about the furniture. Don't you first talk about how to build your house, and then you go shopping for the furniture? You don't talk about the furniture, and then you build the house around it. So seemingly we're out of order, but we begin with the furniture. And what is the first piece of furniture? V'asu aron atzei shitim. Build an ark. Build the aron out of acacia wood, 2.5 amas, amma and a half in width, an amma and a half in its height. One more comment from Rabbi Sachs for today, and he writes the following: literally, they shall make. Hashem instructs Moshe on the making of the sanctuary and its appurtenances, detail by detail. In each case, the verb is in the second person singular. Vitzipisa, viasisa, viatzakta, vinasata, vehevesa. We have a lot of verbs. A lot of verbs go into building. I'll repeat it. Vitzipisa, viasisa, viatzakta, vinasata, vehevesa. We have 5 second person singular verbs. You shall cover, you shall make, you shall pour, you shall place, you shall bring. There's one exception. And that is the aron, the ark. There, the verb is in the third person plural, not the second person singular. I already lost everybody because I mentioned grammar. Not the second person singular. It was a risk I was willing to take. But the third person plural, because the point is so beautiful. It was a risk I was willing to take. So why the shift? Why did we go from second person singular to only with the aron, with the ark? Now we're in third person plural. Why they shall make, not you? Why the shift from the singular to the plural? The aron was made to hold what? The luchos, among other things, but the luchos, the tablets of stone, given to Moshe at Har Sinai. The Torah calls the luchos ha-edus. They are the tablets of testimony. They were the physical symbol of the Sinai covenant. According to Chazal, both the complete set of tablets and the fragments of the first broken tablets that Moshe broke after the Chet Egel, both luchos, vishivru luchos, menachem ba'aron, gemara b'basra, menachos brachos. The ark, in short, symbolized and represented Torah. The reason, therefore, that the construction of the ark is commanded in the plural, listen, is because every Jew has a share in it. Unlike other aspects of service in the sanctuary or temple, Torah is the heritage of everyone. See, in the Mishkan, Yisraelim had to stop here. Only Leviim could go there, and only Kohanim could go past there, and only Kohanim could do this, and only Leviim could do that. All Israel were parties to the covenant. All were expected to know and study its terms. Judaism might know other hierarchies, but when it came to knowledge, study, and the dignity conferred by scholarship, everyone stood on equal footing. Yes, we have Kohanim, Leviim, and Yisraelim. Yes, we have different categories and hierarchies of people. But when it comes to Torah, Morashahi, it is our inheritance. It is our heritage. Every Yid, every Jew has equal access to Torah. Torah is all of ours. Belongs to all of us. Man, woman, child, empty nesters, youth department, outreach department. And any campus of Hashem is a place that Torah is available, accessible, inspires and informs everyone, not only the elite. Sadly, we struggle. Many of our schools, much in the community, is geared to the elite. The elite can participate. You know, if you look behind me, one of the holiest things on our campus is that page turner. A lot of people who come from other communities come and say, "What's with the numbers? What are the numbers? What are they saying?" They're so unfamiliar they can't even imagine what it might be. But you know what those are? Those are the numbers so that anyone who walks in here, we're all on the same page. How many people need the page turners? Not many these days. But even if there's one person who without it would be lost, then it's our responsibility to have it. You know, recently there was someone, the person who ordinarily turns the pages wasn't here. Someone volunteered to do it. And I got emotional. It was a powerful moment because the purple person who was now coming up to keep everyone on the same page is one of the people who was benefiting the most, was one of the biggest beneficiaries himself when he first moved here of why we had them. Isn't that incredible? One of the people who needed it and benefited the most became the person who then turned the page so other people could be on the same page. It's one of the holiest vessels on our campus is this page turner, because Torah, Tefillah, is all of ours. Everyone deserves to be on the same page. Everyone deserves to be plugged in, from Friday Night Live to the high-level Chabura that we're coming on our 1,000th Chabura, and we're celebrating in a couple weeks on Shabbos morning, from the women's midrashah to the men's base medrash to the outreach to the teen to the youth. That's why here alone, writes Rabbi Sachs, in its list of components part of the sanctuary, the Torah shifts from the second person singular to the third person plural. When it comes to the Aron, home and symbol of the most significant form of knowledge, everyone must have equal share. Everyone. And that's why there is a grammatical shift, because Torah belongs to us all. Perach Chafei, Pasuk Tes Zayin. Bottom page 446. V'nasata el ha'aron eis ha'idus asher atein eilecha. You shall place in the ark the testimonial tablets that I shall give you. Says the Lavos, says Rav Druk. You're putting in. Quotes Rashi. Rashi tells us these tablets are called ha'edus. HaTorah shehi la'edus beinu v'nechem. The Torah is the testimonial between me and you. Shetzivisi eschem mitzvos haksuvos bo. Because through it I commanded you all these mitzvos. Writes Rav Druk in his Lahavos Eish. The Gemara in Shabbos Daf Lamed Beis tells us, Tanya Bishmol and Lazar Omer, Ba'avon Shnei Dvaram Amei Ha'aratzos Mesim. Listen to this. Because of two sins, the ignorant in the Jewish people die. Al Shekorin La'aron HaKudsha Arna, because they call the ark Arna, they have a nickname, a disparaging nickname. The Al Shekorin LeBeis HaKnesses, Beis Am. And they call the shul, the Beis HaKnesses, they call it a Beis Am. It's our meeting place. And Rashi there writes, the Gemara, Shabbos Daf Lamed Beis, Beis Am Lashon Bizui, Shemiskabtzim Bo HaKol. Instead of calling it the Holy Shul, you know what they call it? The community center. Oh, let's meet at the community center. Let's hit the Kiddush club at the community center. JFK. You know what JFK is? If you don't, you're lucky. JFK is a relatively recent phenomenon in the Jewish people. JFKers, JFK is just for Kiddush. The people who come to shul, JFK, just for Kiddush. So there are people who say Beis Knesset is not Beis Knesset, Beis Am. Let's hit the community center, JFK. So Rashi says, Ki chomer ha'avam b'kach shekron Beis Knesset Beis Am, u'mitzad ha'zilzol Beis HaKnesses. If you call the shul instead of the holy shul, the holy place of Hashem, the holy place of connection, the holy place of covenant, instead you say, let's go to the community center. So you're disparaging the shul, Aval Marsha b'chidush hagados, the Heilige Marshal of Shmuel Eidels writes, She'ein ze rak mitzad ha'zilzol Beis HaKnesses. The reason it's such an egregious mistake to refer to the holy campus of life and living and Hashem and Shechina as just a community center is, says the Marsha, Shekoron leBeis HaKnesses Beis Am nirash kashem Beis HaKnesses ina muzkar shel mihi el shel Knessia b'kol Am Yisrael Kadosh Baruch Hu k'mo kol Knessia she'il l'shem shamayim k'mo shekod saper kama de brachos minayin shekadosh Baruch Hu motzei Beis HaKnesses shenemar Elokim nitzav ba'adas kel ma she'en kein Beis Am ki ilu hi miyuchedes l'am litzorcham ve'ein chelek Elokim ba. When you call it a gathering place, whom are you eliminating? Who are you eliminating? If you say, let's go to the community center, I'll meet you at the community center. So anything could get a community center. You can meet at the gym. You can meet at Costco. You can meet at Publix. You can meet at whatever the community center is, wherever you play mahjong, wherever you play bridge, wherever you throw darts, you go play pickup ball, you go put together a softball game. Those are places that you meet. And what defines who's there? Those meeting places, those centers of community, who's there? Only those whom you see. But a shul is categorically different. Because who's the most important person or being present in a shul? Not just those that you can visibly see that are picked up on the camera, the surveillance of the shul. Who's there? Hashem himself, the Almighty. Now it's true, Uncle Moshe taught us he's there, here, there, and everywhere. But our rabbis tell us, where is he more intensely present? Where can you feel his presence? Outside of shul, it's dial connection, dial up. It's 3G. In shul, high speed. In shul, it's the highest speed possible. So the Marsha says, Ikar inyan she'amei haaretz nasan beglalo kasher koron Beis HaKnesses Beis Am shebe'emes hakadosh baruch hu motzei Beis HaKnesses. Hashem is here. And when you call it a Beis Am, it's a gathering place. Then what you are defining it by, what you're characterizing it by, what you're limiting it to is the people you see. But that's not all this place is. Baruch Hashem, we have 1,000 families, and on a Shabbos there's 2,000 plus people, and there's 8 minyanim, and it's hopping and moving and popping, and people and davening and learning and laughing and having fun and kids playing. But the biggest presence is Hashem. It's Hashem. The most important presence on that campus, on our campus in a Mishkan, is Hashem. And that's why those who call a Beis Knesset a Beis Am have diminished it, have disparaged it, have done a disservice to it. The Gemara Brachos further says, Amar Rav Huna, Tisha v'Aron mitztarfen. The Gemara entertains the possibility, what if you don't have a minyan? You have 9 people and the Aron Kodesh. Let's say one of our minyanim, we're adding more and more. 8, 9, 10 Marivs. So 10 o'clock Mariv, which in Boca might as well be midnight. 10 o'clock in Boca is like midnight in New York. Just if you don't know, there's a difference in time. There's a time, no state income tax, please God, no real estate tax, but there is a time difference. 10 o'clock in Boca might as well be 2 in the morning. So our 10 o'clock minyan, Baruch Hashem, we haven't missed one yet, but let's say they only got 9. So the Gemara says in Brachos, if you have 9 and the Aron, you're good to go. How? The Aron Gavrahu, wonders the Gemara, is the Aron Kodesh a person that you could count it towards a minyan? If 9 look like 10, close enough. Now again, do we follow that? Not follow that for Mara, for other minyanim? Not for now. But what was the Gemara's Havamina? What did the Gemara think? That 9 and the Aron are good? Says the Chidah in his Pesach Inaim. Rechaim David Yosef Azulai. He says, Rashi Tevos Aron Echad Roa ve'eno nira. Who's the one who sees but is not seen? Aron Echad Roa ve'eno nira. Who's the one who sees and isn't seen? Hashem. It's like there's 9 people, and they say, Hoshea Samecha. No, we only have 9. What are we going to do? We have Namar. And Hashem is here, and he's waving from the Aron. Hey, you forgot about me. I'm here too. I count too. I'm also in the minyan. That's why you're here, is to talk to me. Again, halacha l'maisa, do we practice this or not is not important, but that's how the Chidah understands the Gemara. Aron Tisha va'aron mitztarfen. 9 plus the aron. What's aron? Echad roa ve'eino nira. One who sees and isn't seen. Don't overlook. Not just some guy fast asleep in the back corner. You could wake him up and he could be your 10th. Don't forget when you have 9, open the aron and Hashem is there waving. That's the reason you're here, so we can hang, we can talk, we can connect. Don't forget me, 9 in aron. So don't call it a base am. Community center you could find elsewhere. There's a tennis, and there's golf, and there's the country club, and there's a challenge. A lot of people are moving and living, and they like country clubs are base am. You want to worship at the altar of the country club? You want to bow down to the buffet? You want to make your life be defined? Central to your life is the not paddleball, what do they call it today? Pickleball, tennis, mahjong, bridge, poker, the country club. That's the base. That's a base am. Nothing wrong with that. Go enjoy. God bless. That's a base am. That's a base am. But we're not building a base am. Hashem didn't ask us with the original Mishkan or every Mikdash Ma'at since then. He didn't ask for a base am. Base am, put out the best kiddush. You'll have the biggest base am. But Hashem, nothing wrong with a good kiddush, and we should put out a good kiddush. But the best kiddush in town will get the biggest base am. But that's not what Hashem wants us to build, a base am. What does He want us to build? A base knesses. Aron mitztarfen. Hashem says, I want a place where you're learning and living and investing and connecting and being inspired by a relationship with me, where there is a great kiddush, but that's not the central part of why you're here. That's not the defining factor or feature why you're here. Where there is other activity, we have BYOG. We have every month our empty nesters, bring your own game, come and play, coffee and tea and slushies. Absolutely, it's a place of socializing and connection. But that's only part of what we have. Most of all, you know who comes to show, you know who shows up for BYOG? Hashem. He's here for that game, for the Shechina. Tisha va'aron mitztarfen HaKadosh Baruch Hu is part of it. Perek Chafei, Pasuk, Yud, Ches. What do I skip to? There's so much to say. Okay, let's talk Kruvim a little bit. Perek Chafei, Pasuk, Yud, Ches. Top of page 448. The Asisa Shnei Kruvim, what went on top of the Aron? We're talking the first piece of furniture, the first fixture, first vessel was the Aron. What went on top of the Aron? The Asisa Shnayim Kruvim Zahav, make 2 cherubs, Miksha Ta'aseh Osam, make them out of one solid block, Mishnei Ktsos HaKaporos, from both ends of the cover. Says the Lavosesh. Let's continue with Rav Druk. Says the Lavosesh. Make 2 kruvim. 2 times we find kruvim in the Torah. 2 times we find kruvim in the Torah. We already saw the kruvim once. Anyone remember where? Back in BRS, Genesis, chapter 3, verse 24. The pasuk says there, they lived mikedem legan Eden es hakruvim. East of Garden of Eden were the cherubs, the kruvim. So how could it be? And here, the Asisa Shnayim kruvim and Shar Makomos, Parshas Elam Dabas HaKruvim Alom Mizav Shas LeMishkan. So here, Rashi describes what are the kruvim? Demus Partsuf Tinok. It was the face of a child, the angelic, pure, innocent face of the child. But if you flip back in Chumash and go to chapter 3, verse 24, the Rashi on when the kruvim are mentioned back in Bereshis, how does Rashi describe the kruvim there? They are Malachei Chavala, angels of destruction. So which is it, wonders Rav Druk? Are these kruvim pure, angelic, sweet faces of a child? Or are they satanic, demonic faces of destruction, of evil? Which are they? And the answer, of course, is yes. It depends where you are. Where were the kruvim relative to Gan Eden? Outside of it, east of the Garden of Eden. And where are the kruvim relative to the Mishkan? In it. Says Rav Druk, that child, that beautiful, pure, innocent, wholesome, optimistic child, in the right environment, they'll flourish and they'll thrive and they'll radiate their purity. But if they're outside of it, if they're told you're an outsider, you're an outlier, you're outside of it, they can turn into Malachi Chavala, get mixed in with the wrong crowd, subject to the wrong influences. They themselves become practitioners of Chavala, of destruction and damage and devastation. Kruvim, Hashem creates potential, and it can go either way, either or. And the only question is, where is it? in the right environment, in the right atmosphere, on the inside, if everyone is made to feel an insider. That's what a campus is. It's a place where everyone is an insider, everyone belongs, everyone is there. There are no outliers or outsiders, there are no boundaries, nobody's marginalized, nobody's excluded, because when a person is marginalized and excluded, then they'll act that way. That's where they'll gravitate towards. That's what they'll look like, that's how they'll behave, that's what they'll become, malache chavala. But when someone is told, we just had Rabbi Kalish a few weeks ago, the great Rav Kalish, we still have to put out our conversation on Behind the Beam with Rav Kalish. It was amazing. He's amazing. I sound like one of the seminary girls who love him. He's amazing. Okay, I'm happy to sound like that. He's amazing. He's amazing. So one of the things that Rabbi Kalish is so refreshing is that every Yid, every Jew is an insider, is a pure neshama. What's their story? What makes them special? How do we make them feel they belong? Because in a generation where so many feel invisible, inconsequential, ignored, outsiders, so they become that. If that's who I am, I might as well be that. If that's how you've defined me, if that's how you've characterized it, if that's how you judge me, if that's how you treat me, if that's what you call me, then I might as well be that. That's who I'll hang with. That's how I'll behave. That's what I'll do. But if we say, that's not who you are, you're a tzelem lokim, you're a pure pintel yid, you have a spark of godliness, v'shachanti bisocham, there's a mikdash inside you, let's find it. I want to listen to it. I want to hear it. I want to know your story. Everyone's an insider. Everyone's an insider. Says Rav Druk, he quotes from his father, the Drash Mordechai, Rav Mordechai Druk. That's what the Gemara in Kedushin says, Impaga minuvel zeh mashcher lebeis hamedrash. When you fight the Yetzer Hara, what should you do? Schlep him to the Beis Medrash. There's no Yetzer Hara when you're in the Beis Medrash. Still plenty of Yetzer Hara in the Beis Medrash. The answer is, if you change your environment, if you see yourself as an insider, if you see yourself as someone who belongs, the Yetzer Hara is there, but now you have what you need to fight it. But if you're an outsider, an outlier, a marginalized part of community, then that Yetzer Hara is going to overcome you and you're going to become a malachi chavala. So are you an insider or are you an outsider is the difference, says Rav Druk. Says the Tefer Shmuel. Tzarchiyin. Sorry, it's a different insight. And it's such a good one, and we're not going to get to it. And it kills me. Rav Druk. We'll expand on Rav Druk. He essentially says the following. I'll tell it to you in a different way. The Gemara Tzedakah tells us these kruvim, my kruv, Amar Vavo, Kravya. Shekem Bavava currently Yanuka Ravya. What is the form face of the kruv? Vavo says like a child. Kravya is in the Babylonia, one calls a child Ravya. And Rashi says the most parts of Tinok. The Aron, this most sacred vessel, was covered with the kaparas, the two kruvim, the image of these young children. Now, if I would have asked you, whose image should we put on the Aron in the Mikdash? What would you say? Put Rav Moshe Feinstein, put Rav Soloveitchik, put Rav Sachs, put the Sfas Emes, put all the personalities that we learn and we draw from, put our holy tzaddikim, our Gedolah Yisrael. You know what the kruvim should have been? Have you ever seen the video of Rav Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal and Rebbe Tzibashevin Kanievsky early in the morning reciting Birchas HaShachar together to answer amen to one another? It's an unbelievable video. It's an amazing video. They're incredibly advanced age. They must have been in their 90s. And yet they're like two newlyweds who every day start out by saying Birchas HaShachar, the morning blessings to one another to be able to answer amen to each other. I don't know what fly on the wall took that video. On the one hand, maybe infringed on their privacy, but also gave us a great gift because it's a tremendous video. So you want to ask me who to put on the kruvim? Rav Chaim Kanievsky and Rebbe Tzimbat-Sheva. Wow. Saying Birchas HaShachar, facing each other. But we don't. Instead, what do we put on the holy Aron, which was kept in the holiest place on the planet? We put a picture of children who've yet to learn or accomplish or achieve anything, despite everything we say about them at their bar mitzvah. Until now, we make them they're a whole franchise. We made you a logo, and we made you yarmulkes, and we say the nicest things about you. But if we're honest, they haven't done anything yet. And that's who we put as the image on top of the kruvim. Moreover, the kruvim don't always have a positive connotation. As we said, malachi chavala, angels of demolition, of destruction. So which is it? Pure innocent children or angels of destruction? And the answer, as we said, is yes. Rav Druk saw it as, are you an insider or an outsider? Is it mikedem legan eden or inside the Mishkan? But I want to offer you another perspective, maybe in closing. Maybe not, but maybe. The image and message of the kruvim is not directed at the children. It's directed at us and can go either way. When being youthful and childlike makes you impetuous, impulsive, immature, and juvenile, then the attribute of youthful is a malach of chavala. If your being youthful is really your being juvenile and immature, irresponsible, then it's a malach of chavala, of destruction. But if, on the other hand, tapping into our youthfulness makes us energized and curious and innocent and ambitious and vivacious, it's a great quality. So that image of the child can go either way. Stay childlike your whole life. There are people in this world, there are people in this room over 100 years old, and their yearning and love of learning is childlike. And there are people who are in their 90s, who are immature, juvenile, self-centered children. Being childlike can go either way. The Navi Hosea tells us in the 11th chapter, Ki nar Yisrael va'o ahavehu. I feel in love with the Jewish people when he is still a child. When does Hashem love us? Ki nar Yisrael va'o ahavehu. When do I love the Jewish people? When they're a child. I've called him my son ever since Egypt. Yisrael Salanter explains, Hashem has a particular love for Klal Yisrael when we awaken the na'ar, the youthfulness, the freshness, the liveliness within ourselves. Children are naturally driven, energetic, curious, adventurous, open to new ideas, new experiences. Children are eager to explore. Children are eager to accomplish. Adults, tired, exhausted, set in my ways. It is what it is. I am what I am. I'm not changing. You're not changing. Nothing's changing. Adults are stuck. They're fixed. Children, adventure, explore, new ideas, just getting started. To be a nar is to never be done, to remain incomplete, to refuse to let fatigue set in. You can be older and be a nar. You can be young and be a zaken. That's why we say in Slichos, Al tashlichenu le'ez zikna. Don't cast me away like I'm an old person. What does that mean? I'm an old person. I walk slowly. I got a walker. I got a cane. I can't go. No. It means even when I'm young, don't let me feel I'm fixed. Don't let fatigue set in. Don't let life become stale and boring. Don't let me lose my energy and curiosity. Al tashlichenu le'ez zikna. Let me never be an old person in my mindset, because age is just a number. Yitzchak was how old at the Akedah? 37 years old. And what does the Torah call him? Ve'ani ve'ana'ar nilcha ad ko. Why was Yitzchak called a na'ar at 37? He had youthful exuberance, a willingness to go on this adventure. Yehoshua is a grown man. According to the Ibn Ezra, when he comes to serve Moshe, how old is he? 56. But the Torah sees his energy and ambition and describes Yehoshua, Umisharso Yehoshua ben Nun, Na'ar lo yamish mitocha ohel. Yitzchak's 37, Yehoshua is 56, and he's still called a Na'ar. Why are you called a Na'ar? Because it's a mindset. Cherubim, being childlike, can destroy us if we indulge in impulsivity and immaturity, or it can make us ageless. What helps us experience the holiness and happiness of life. Cherubim were kravya. They captured the version of us that Hashem loves. Ki na'ar Yisrael va'ohevo. Hashem loves us when we're na'ar. Youth is not a demographic, it's a description. You know what? Maybe we should change the name of the empty nesters to the youth department. The youth department shouldn't become the Altakakers. The youth department should become the super youth department. And the empty nesters should be the youth department. It should be the youth department. Because at that age is just a number. The empty nesters is the real youth department. Because you could stay young at every age. Stay young at each and to every age. I'll just end as we're having Rosh Chodesh Adar on Friday and Shabbos. We're building up to Purim. It's a fascinating medrash on the Purim story. It relates an episode in which Mordechai, after learning of Haman's decree to unite the Jews, the medrash tells us, I won't read it to you in the Hebrew, we don't have time, but Mordechai runs into 3 young school children, and he asks them, Nu, what are you learning? What are you learning? Mordechai balaf neim paga b'shloshet tinokos yotzim beis rabban, amalahem Mordechai, imru li psukechem. Tell me what you're learning. What'd you learn today? What'd you learn today? So the first boy promptly recites the pasuk he learned at school. Don't fear terror, nor the destruction of the wicked when it comes. The second boy says, a pasuk, contrive a scheme, but it will be foiled, conspire a plot, it will not materialize. Hashem is with us. And the third boy says, to your old age I am with you, I have made you and I will carry you, I will sustain you, and I will deliver you. Three boys, they quote three separate psukim. When Mordechai heard these responses, tzachak Mordechai. Immediately, what does he do? He laughs. He laughs. He laughs. Haman says to him, what are you laughing at? Little kids, they're telling you what they're learning, it's making you laugh. Says Mordechai, miyad kas, amalei besuros tovas besruni. You know why I'm laughing? I just heard such good news. Miyad kas Haman beliba v'amar eni shalech yad chila el betinokas alalu. Haman was infuriated, he was enraged, and he said, who am I going to kill first? These children that you're laughing, that somehow you're inspired by. What's going on in these psukim? Mordechai says, I am happy because of the glad tidings they told me, that I should not be afraid of the evil plot. Our enemies want to kill the cherubim, the na'ar, that shares messages of optimism and hope inside us. Did Mordechai even meet three children, or did Mordechai tap into the child in him? Hope, optimism, a bright future, positivity. When it comes to our future, we have to see the child in us. And that's what we sing on Friday night. What do we say in Lechadodi? Hisna'ari me'afar kumi. The word hisna'ari means, let me shake off me'afar kumi, shake off the dust and arise. But hisna'ari is not just shake off the dust. Hisna'ari, shake off the fatigue, shake off the hopelessness, shake off the cynicism, and awaken the na'ar. Hisna'ari, wake up the na'ar in you, me'afar kumi. Wake up the old age. Wake up feeling fixed and set. Wake up being pessimistic and fatalistic. And instead, wake up the na'ar, hisna'ari, idealism, energy, determination, tenaciousness. Wake up the na'ar. That's how we defeated Haman. That's how we're going to defeat our enemies. We're deep 500 plus days in. It's exhausting. Wake up. Wake up the gvura to continue to fight Am HaNetzach. We beat Haman. We're going to continue to beat our enemies. And it's through the Shachanti B'Socham having inside us. So I end the way I began. I'm so sorry. I apologize in advance. You're going to grow sick and tired. And I do feel bad. But we have to get it done. And there's an easy way for me not to do it. It's for any of you to come and tell me you'll take care of the rest of it. But we've got to finish what we're building. Be a builder. Be a builder with us. Many of you are. And from the bottom of my heart, maximum gratitude, minimum pressure. But if you come here, many of you sitting here and many of you listening and watching wherever you are, you're not members, and yet you read, watch, listen, you come, you participate, you benefit, you're connected to what we stand for and what we value. So please, next year we'll go back to the small amounts. We're not going to do this every year. But for this 1 year, I got to get to 250 BRS Builder Ambassadors, Global Ambassadors. Give $1,800 or become an ambassador. We'll make you a page. We'll give you a link. Send it out. All your friends and classmates and neighbors and clients and coworkers and all your family members who tell you they love what we do, let's see, Nasa v'nishma, Mishpatim Truma. Let's see how much they love it. Let them help you get towards the $1,800, and then you'll come to a dinner in New York, Yerushalayim, and Florida with special free giveaways and write-ups of our Torah. Qualified to come to it, give any amount. Give $1, $180, $360, $1,000, but $1,800 if you give. And even if you can't give, every one of us can get. If we turn to the people who claim to love, and this one time only, help us realize this dream. brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global. The yichud truma, only those who are nediv lev. We're not forcing you. We're not mandating. No one's at the door and say, you can only come to the Parsha class, only come to the Munashir, only hear Akiva, only hear the soldiers if you gate. We're not doing that. This is nediv lev. It's got to come from your heart. It's only if you want it. I hope you find it in your heart to want it. I thank you in advance for it. And may we hear Besoros Tovos Yeshua's Benechamas.